it.
Our government's a pack of shit.
Now, remember, anything that actually works has side effects. You asked the question. This is a form of a blood thinner. So people can have more easy bruising. I just tell somebody on the way here, if they start to get nose bleeding or bleeding when they brush their teeth. So it's a natural product, but it's a blood thinner. The spike protein causes blood clotting. So we have an epidemic of blood clotting. So everybody is prone to this. I personally take it. I took it this morning. You take it on an empty stomach, and I had measured my spike antibodies, and my spike antibodies, which should be 0, but since I had COVID at least once proven and probably 2 other times, my spike antibodies were 2,300. And the published literature suggests under 1,000, you're probably safe. You probably cleared it out. It's just residual antibodies. I was 2,300. My ears are ringing. I didn't feel well. I went on spike detox. It took about a year, but I've dropped them to 900.
Amen. Let's go.
Now, the average person who's had taken a vaccine who's got a trouble, blood clot, heart damage, they're at 11,000. And we commonly see people over 25,000. So people who are in
How
trouble.
can people get checked to see what they're at to know if this
blood test, super important. Let's go to LabCorp. You can self-order your blood test. You should do it.
Yeah, I'm getting some blood work done this week, actually.
You should do it. Go to LabCorp. Okay, so now go to individuals and patients. So go to more on-demand tests.
There we go.
And it's going to be a COVID antibody test. Keep going.
There we go.
There, click on this. This is the test. It's $69. Okay, stop here. If you get a user ID and password right here, and you pay $69, you use your credit card, you pay right here. Then the order's at LabCorp. You can go in there, get your blood test, and you'll know that night your number. If you're under 1,000, you're safe.
Okay.
If you're above 5,000, you probably got the spike protein in your bloodstream.
Okay.
And if you're over 10,000 or above, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
You got there's about a correlation of about 0.8 to 0.9 of the antibody to the actual spike protein. Soon there's going to be a direct spike protein test. And we're working hard with companies to do that. But this is a super useful test. Do you know that the Mayo Clinic refuses to order this test? Wow. And so does every other major hospital. If you go in and you say, doctor, I want a COVID test. I want to assess my spike exposure. They'll say, I refuse to do it. So LabCorp got so frustrated, they just offer this to the public and say, pay $69, you can self-order your COVID test.
Good for them.
We've published a whole spike guide on this, how to interpret it. And so like I told you, the average person who took the shot who's in trouble in a paper by Barham and colleagues is 11,000. So my mother-in-law, who's now 93, she lives with us. She took 2 Pfizer shots because we had to get her out of Canada, which she was older and pandemic and what have you. She's never had a side effect once. No sore arm, nothing. She goes, because I don't know what you're making such a big deal about these COVID shots. Nothing. And I've been watching her carefully. I'm telling you, she has nothing wrong with her from the COVID shots. I said, I can't believe this. So, and I told you, I was 2,300. I didn't take the shots, but I had the illness. So we checked Mama. You know what she was? 200. No wonder she's fine. So the point is, there's probably easily 85% of people who took the shots, they got basically a dud. They got next to nothing.
Got it.
They have no antibodies. They never got much exposure to spike, and they're fine.
The reading that you're looking for, the number that you're looking for coming back, it's what, spike proteins?
It's actually the antibody to the spike protein.
Okay, so you're looking for the antibody number to the spike protein.
Which is
if you're under 1,000, then you're doing fine.
Yeah.
If you're 5,000 or up, then you should
need to
get checked
get
out.
going. Well, you need to get going. You need to get going on, at least on the ultimate spike detox.
Got it.
And once I've treated thousands of patients. Now I do have to prescribe some drugs in addition for just certain syndromes.
Now, what does that mean?
No, what I mean is if there's heart damage, there's another drug I have to prescribe called colchicine.
Okay. How do people know if there's heart damage?
Well, then, I've published the leading paper on this called risk stratification, but in general, it's prompted by symptoms, EKG, and an ultrasound. I just do that in my office. Any standard doctor would do that. But the point is, some people additionally need prescription drugs. But once people are on the detoxification program, and I think I'm the most experienced doctor in the world in treating patients with this condition, I've never seen a new blood clot. I've never seen a cardiac arrest. I've never seen a new problem emerge.
Amen.
All the people who are emerging with problems now, I got a blood clot now. I've got an advanced cancer now. I've got they have not done the detox.
Got it.
It's so important. It's probably the biggest public health message I can give on this show is, if you just want to play it safe and want some healthy supplements anyway, a lot of people take supplements, they just take it empirically.
Take it for a year.
And at least a year, and extended use if you have underlying heart disease or risk for blood clots or
how many a day?
2 capsules twice a day, empty stomach.
Okay.
Best time to take it, I think, is if you get up at night to use the restroom and your stomach's empty, take it with some water before you go back to bed, and just take it on an empty stomach.
Got it.
I saw a woman yesterday who has a rare genetic condition, but it impairs the nerves.
What is it? She was good at parallel parking? That's just an old joke.
No, she's very bright. She's very successful in her job. She comes in, but her genetic condition, the nerves don't allow the capillaries to open and close correctly. And so she's modeled all over with a pattern called levator reticularis. Doctors and nurses know what I'm talking about. And I saw her walking down the hall because I was getting ready to, have her and her husband come in the office. And she just looked so ill. She looked chronically ill. She's 20 years younger than me. And she said, "Doctor, I have this genetic condition. And when I took the vaccine, it absolutely ravaged me. And I have intractable headaches. Look at me. She looked so terrible. The condition is actually called Mitchell's disease, if you'll type in Mitchell's disease. So the point is, but listen to this. When she walked in my office, I did not know what Mitchell's disease was. She came in, I have Mitchell's disease. So what did I do? A smart doctor. I get to a certain point where I said, listen, I have to have you change into a gown because I'm going to get an EKG. While she's changing in the gown, I go on artificial intelligence and I look up Mitchell's disease. In 2 seconds, I have the answer. In fact, I even have the genetic mutation for Mitchell's disease now known, which is an SCN9A mutation. And I came back in the office and I do the next part. And I said, so you have this rare disease. It's a mutation of the SCN9A gene that gates voltage into these nerves. She goes, "You're the first doctor who's ever identified that." And I said, it's just, but the point I'm making is that's the power of artificial intelligence. I could have gotten to it. It would have taken forever.
For sure.
And I got to it. In fact, before I finished, I ordered the correct genetic test on her, which she's never had before, got her on spike detoxification, ordered the other appropriate labs, and she literally hugged me. She goes, "I have never had anybody even pay any attention to me. And I'm absolutely miserable at this. And now I can see a pathway out of this."
That's the biggest thing. People want to, they just want you to hear what's going on with him a lot of times.
Yes.
A couple of questions I got to get answers to just so RFK has been in office for over a year now, right? As Secretary of Health and Human Services. How do you feel like he's done there?
Well, he's a friend. What I'd say is that if we've learned anything, you mentioned trust is low in the government. The government doesn't treat patients. The government's, honestly, not our caretaker. They're not our doctor. And you probably never asked the question, how is Alex Azar doing? You probably know who he was. He was HHS Secretary under Trump. Or how did Becerra do? He was HHS Secretary under Biden. You probably never asked that. The only reason why you'd ask about RFK is because you know him and he's kind of has a celebrity status. Let me just say constructively what I would do if I was in his job. I think that's probably a better thing to say. So,
I'm not trying to pitch you like saying something negative about
No, but I'll just tell you what I would do. Now, the difference is I'm a doctor with medical authority.
Right.
That's very different. There's nobody in Washington who has medical authority. There's nobody in Washington that's ever treated a COVID patient, that's ever had an important publication on COVID, ever innovated with a treatment protocol or detoxification. There's no one in Washington with medical authority. Medical authority means I am taking charge and I will handle this medical problem. No one. So if I went to Washington, I would be the only one with medical authority. So what would I do on day one? I would have pulled the COVID vaccines off the market. Just pulled them. Say, sorry, I have medical authority. They're not safe. They're gone. That's what it is. It's the call. You just make the call.
Yeah.
It's not a political issue. This is a drug safety issue. So I pull the COVID vaccines off the market. The next thing I do is I'd use the power of HHS and the office to do some very important things. Virtually every major medical center and medical school gets funding from HHS, not only through CMS for medical care, but also from the National Institutes of Health and sometimes the CDC. Every week I'd be having meetings in Washington saying there's a mandatory meeting, send your dean or your chief medical officer, your chief of medicine, what have you, to Washington, and we're going to have a review of, lessons learned in the pandemic. Which hospital had the best treatment protocols, which one didn't, which had the lowest mortality, which didn't. Vaccine safety, this is what we're seeing with the vaccines. This is the reason why we're pulling them off the market. In fact, you could actually call rapid meetings and say, listen, we're going to go over the data and we want to gain a consensus before we tell the public we're pulling them off the market. We want to make sure you got your buy-in on this. And use the power of the meeting to, when you call a meeting, and they happen all the time, they're called Bethesda meetings. In the last two administrations, they literally haven't had any. But we go to Washington, you have all kinds of experts from academia, from the FDA, CDC, NIH, industry, you have public citizens. There's an agenda. You raise some issues. You basically vet them, gain a consensus, drive policy. That's the process. So I'd be doing this every week. When it came to diet, for sure I would have done that. I would have had all the dietetic societies, American Heart Association. And what I would do in that office is I would get the medical orthodoxy on my side. I wouldn't write policy with just a handful of assistants, because there's 1 million doctors out there. There's 500,000 nurse practitioners and PAs. There's 5,600 hospitals, 2,200 acute care hospitals. I mean, come on. The medical industry is too big and too strong. You can't do anything in Washington without the medical community. That's what I would do. And you can make it mandatory. So listen, if you want to get your CMS funding, your NIH funding, you better show up here. And I would do it for topic after topic. Food dyes, fluoride. I'd go through childhood vaccines. I'd go through the whole thing and just use Washington as a convening. And talk about make America healthy again. If we had somebody with that type of leadership skills and that type of vision, oh my gosh, healthcare in the United States could be dramatically turned around.
Do you think that the lobbies that are there now and the big pharma and the cabal that's out there now, do you think what's its end goal for us? Do you feel like?
Well, in our first book, we outline this biopharmaceutical complex. It's powerful, and it has the medical societies with it. Remember I mentioned the smoke fest and this great problem with smoking among doctors. Do you know the American Medical Association was fully on